Welcome to the Let's All Laugh At podcast. I'm hosting Andrew Aziz, and unfortunately George Pavlou's had some technology problems. This is the issue with the 21st century. But we're joined today by Arsenal fan Johnny. Hi Johnny, you alright?
Very well, mate. Very well.
Very well. And Chelsea fan Alex. Long time since we've been on the podcast, probably 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, roughly. I've almost forgotten what I'm doing.
Yeah, he's our Spanish correspondent. He's calling in from Spain, so I expect some La Liga update from you today.
Yeah, I better make a note.
Yeah, I better make a note. But yeah, anyway, we'll start with the match which has just happened. Manchester City 0, Man United 2. Shocking, really, victory after City had just won 21 games in a row. But obviously, Man U have a bit of a voodoo sign over them. Johnny, were you quite surprised by how lethargic Man City were?
Yeah, it was a little bit. The game kicked off and Jesus gave a silly penalty away, and United were on top, and they deserved it. They were superb today, United. Probably could have won 3 or 4-0, to be honest, if they took their chances. City a little bit lethargic, but I think that, as I said on Sky Sports, I think that win might do them some good, because you can't one's got to come to an end at some point, and they're still going to win the Premier League by a distance. I think and it's just a little bump in the road for them. But United, I mean, they're a weird side, United, aren't they? Because they outplay Man City, and then they'll go and lose at home to Palace, or go and lose at home to someone random. So they're a strange club, United. They're an odd bunch.
I think with this match, I know a lot of City fans have basically said, like, Kevin De Bruyne is not playing as well as, even though they've been on this amazing run, there's been other players who've really stepped up. And I think it showed to me today, like, that obviously he's an incredible footballer, but he is a bit off his form because he wasn't dictating the game as much. His usual pinpoint passes weren't as great. Alex, looking at City generally, do you feel that this is something for them to be worried about? Because they do throw in these odd performances here and now, and do you think it might stop them, for instance, winning the Champions League?
Yeah and no. Like, I think this year, you guys have probably referenced it before, but it's just such an odd, random year. But Man City, to be perfectly honest, apart from today, they look like their best. I think I saw something from Guardiola this morning saying, that every team has had their issues. They've just had less issues. Like, they did, I think, have 4 or 5 defeats early on, and there were big ones as well. Like, I think Leicester thumped them at home, but then after dropping points at West Brom, they went on this 21 game streak, which, it's you can't do that by luck. The Champions League is obviously the ultimate aim. Whether they can do that, it's one of those things. It remains to be seen, because I think teams sometimes get dazzled by the lights that the Champions League provides and just don't perform.
Johnny, people blaming obviously Jesus for the first goal, and they felt Cancelo was out of position on the second goal. This game reminded me a lot of like how they played against Lyon last year in the Champions League, and then it also reminded me a bit of the Spurs game a couple of years ago. Do you think maybe Aguero being fit and returning might change their situation?
Yeah, a little bit. I like Jesus, but you can't replace him. Aguero's unreplaceable, isn't he? I'm quite surprised he wasn't in the team, to be honest. Aguero. Yeah, it was a strange performance from City, and I think they probably learned that they can't just turn it off and turn it on. Like, they've been so good, as Alex said, and I think that's just a little bit of a little bump in the road for them. They will bounce back, because they're too much of a good side not to. But I was quite surprised to see Aguero not playing, and Foden as well. But yeah, just a bump in the road to see. I think they'll still go. If they win the quadruple, they won't really care about this result, will they? Really?
It's interesting. The Sterling stat is crazy, isn't it? The number of games he's played against Man United, and then he misses that sitter as well.
Yeah, no, he's poor today, Sterling. I think he could be there till next week and not have a shot on target. I think today, Sterling. Yeah, well, and De Bruyne, as you said earlier, he was poor today, and you very rarely say the words poor and De Bruyne in the same sentence, but he was poor, and City weren't great at all. To be honest, it was a poor performance from City, really.
I mean, Alex, the United fullbacks, I've got to say, Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw, they're really putting the stake to be the starting fullback for England. I mean, you obviously watch Reece James. Oh, he doesn't start. Does he start? He's not starting at the moment, is he?
He gets in and out of the side, I
Yeah.
think.
I
Yeah.
mean, do you think those two probably should be starting for England now?
Which one? Sorry, Wan-Bissaka and Shaw.
Yeah.
It's difficult to say. Like, don't get me wrong, Shaw's been playing rather well the past two games he could arguably be man of the match. Like, I know they didn't really play very well against Palace, but Shaw was probably their best player. And then today he did pretty well. And obviously he capped it off with a pretty good goal. Like the way he just took the ball and kept running before obviously passing it over and then receiving it back. But I mean, I'm probably biased, but I still, we've got Chilwell and James as well. It's a difficult one because there's so many right backs as well. When you look at Wan-Bissaka, yeah, he's a very good right back, but would he get in the team over Trent, or would he get in the team over? I mean, Trippier's always favoured for some reason, whether you agree or not, or even Kyle Walker. I think there's talk that Bissaka could look to go and play for who was that? I can't quite remember. Yeah, that's it, Congo. So, it's a strange one. Personally, no, I wouldn't make him the first choice, but there might be an element of bias.
Chilwell's not starting for you, is he? Marcus Alonso's played quite a few games under Tuchel.
Yeah, again, it's a sort of, I mean, Tuchel likes to change it up every single game, so it's a nightmare for those that play fantasy football because he's like another Guardiola. You just don't know what team he's going to pick. But Alonso seems to have come alive, so yeah, Chilwell, there's a bit of element of Chilwell, but I still think, he's the number one, and it'd be quite difficult to leave him out of the England side.
Yeah, I think for me with Wan-Bissaka, if you're playing against like one of the top nations where you could be facing Mbappe or say someone like Serge Gnabry, then I would probably start Wan-Bissaka because we're not going to have the ball for much of the game and we need the defensive quality. So if you're playing one of the maybe more lesser nations, then you probably want someone like Trent or Reece James because they're going to provide more going forward. But like Trent at the moment, his form's completely shot. I mean, we may as well swiftly move on to Liverpool, Johnny. I mean, another defeat, the sixth straight defeat at home for Liverpool. I think there's this crazy stat which they're showing, which is number of goals in 2021 at Anfield, and they've scored one. Yeah. Your views on the demise of Liverpool and actually Klopp's team selection, because I found that quite bizarre.
Yeah, again, it was another really poor performance from Liverpool. Got to say, as bad as Liverpool were, Fulham was superb and really deserved that. Ademola Lookman, I think he had, was it Nico Williams, the right back? I think he had him on toast most of the game. He was superb. But Liverpool, just really poor. I know they've got injuries, but that excuse for me now is kind of wearing a little bit thin because you've still got players like Salah and Mane who didn't start for some strange reason. You've still got a good enough squad to not lose at home to Fulham, Burnley, and Brighton. And it's poor. It's poor, and I think it's just a personal opinion. I'm sure Dan, if he was here, would disagree with me. I think it's a bit of an attitude problem from some of the Liverpool players. I think last year when they were firing and they were scoring goals for fun, they could kind of breeze through games because they know they're better than anybody else. This season, I think some of the players, they're just meandering through games and they're kind of going, well, we can just turn it on, and you can't do that. Not in the Premier League, you can't. And they've been found out a little bit, Liverpool. Really poor. Really, really poor. Could have been 3 or 4 for Fulham today. But the team selection, I mean, I think it was Graham Souness on Sky Sports. I think he said, why not play your big boys and then go cut the goals up and then bring them off? I don't understand.
He did play Salah, didn't he? He dropped Mane, Firmino.
Yeah.
I mean, is Firmino all that anymore? Like, he's just, I don't think he even scores that many goals anymore.
I think Firmino has a knock, which is why he didn't play today. But yeah, admittedly, I don't see him as what he was once before. But 7 changes from the side that played against Chelsea to against Fulham. Like, you still want to play your bigger team. You can't, this league, we know you can't take anyone for granted, whether it be Sheffield United rock bottom or
Newcastle.
Like Newcastle, Burnley, all fighting for their lives, or Southampton, who are looking to change fortunes after a good start. It doesn't matter who you play, you've got to play your strongest side. I think potentially there's one eye on Champions League in midweek.
Yeah, it's
Obviously,
a big game, isn't it? It's a big game, that.
Yeah, so they've got Leipzig. So whether that's the thing, then potentially. But, if every manager will first say, oh, no, we focus on the game ahead, not the next one.
Liverpool aren't going to win the Champions League.
Not at the moment,
definitely not.
They're not, because you can't defend like the way they're defending against. I mean,
they're not even attacking well.
That's the problem. And that's the problem. I've said it for a long time now on the podcast and on my own podcast. They can talk about injuries to Van Dijk and Gomez and playing players out of position. You've still got players like Salah's goal scorer, and he's not scoring goals. They're not creating chances. I mean, they're not peppering. They didn't lay a glove on Fulham today. And this is Fulham. No disrespect to Fulham. They're in a relegation zone, and Liverpool didn't put them under any pressure. It was poor, really poor. And I mean, I'm not saying they'll sack Jurgen Klopp. That's a silly thing to say. But if they go out to Leipzig, I mean, what have they got? I mean, it's desperate for Liverpool at the moment, and they're just so poor. It's really. I'll be worried if I was a Liverpool fan. To be honest, I'd be worried about what's going on.
I mean, it's interesting. I think this weekend, no away team has won yet. There's been no away win.
I mean, home wins.
No home wins. Everyone, it's all.
Yes.
I mean, home advantage has just gone.
Yeah, it's completely gone. Yeah.
It's gone completely, hasn't it? It's I think for me with Liverpool at the moment, I think, yeah, fine, you get Van Dijk, Gomez, all these players back, but can they suddenly switch it on again like that? And for me, they need to think, what if this happens again, that they have 3 centre-backs who are injured? They need to make sure their 4th centre-back is quality now. So if it did happen again, they've got some, you need to, for me, the Lovren Sale and not replacing him was an error. And the squad depth was an error as well.
Yeah. It is worrying.
I do feel that, and it's not an excuse because I'm not going to be the first person to make excuses for them, but I feel like Liverpool are a team that need their fans. They need the passion. They need the atmosphere. I feel Jurgen Klopp is also a manager that thrives off that. And, an empty stadium, he doesn't look the same manager. And I just feel like, I'm the last person that wants to be in a however many seater stadium, 50,000, 60,000, Anfield, packed full of Scousers. No thanks. But I just feel that's what they're missing. You can blame all the injuries as much as you want. I'll first admit, no team will be able to ever handle that. But, as poor as they are, I think they have just been found out. And if they had their fans behind them, then potentially they would play better. But again, there's no guarantee to that.
No, definitely. And another thing, how poor is Shaqiri? I mean, he was so poor today. Honestly, I've always rated him, Shaqiri, but over the past few games, I've just watched him. I mean, do you know what? He's
not played for a while, hasn't he? He's in and out. It's hard to just turn it on all the.
I mean, Shaqiri's a guy that has been at Bayern Munich, Inter Milan, obviously Stoke, Liverpool. So it's not like he's been at bad clubs sort of throughout his career. But it's dumbfounding how bad of a player he can be. He turns up to, say, 1 in 10 games that I've noticed.
I think for me, Jurgen Klopp looks like he just wants the season to end. He's just. I don't think he has. They've turned on some away games, but he looks like he doesn't know. He just wants to restart and have Van Dijk and Gomez back and everything. But
I'm pretty sure they'll null and void this season if they could.
Yeah, but the thing is, ACLs, both of them, they're not guaranteed to come back the same players either. Like,
No.
it's, it's all right saying, oh, it's, but I think they need to think they definitely need to buy a top quality centre back, because that's probably the most important. They probably need to kind of decide who they need to shift out of the squad. Like, Ox never plays; he hardly plays anymore. Like you said, Shaqiri, Divock Origi, they really need to get rid of some of the squad players who've been shown that they're not quite, to the level for Liverpool, because at the moment it's really hard to go from, if they finish say 6th, 7th this season, to go back to being title contenders. So yeah.
With Divock Origi, I mean, how he can't live off that goal against Everton forever, can he? Yeah, I mean,
and his goals against Barcelona
and the Champions League final. Don't get me wrong, he's been living off them goals for a couple of years now.
You can always live off goals. You just have to ask Jason McAteer, who lives off his goal for Ireland against Holland for the last 20 years. But anyway, Arsenal. We'll move on to Arsenal. Burnley 1, Arsenal 1.
Yeah.
Johnny, your thoughts on another kind of disappointing display from the Arsenal?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we dominated the game for most of it. Good goal from Aubameyang, not great goalkeeping from Nick Pope. I mean, I thought we were in control of the game. Of course, the Granit Xhaka mistake it's a mistake. I don't. It's one of them.
Have you seen the stat that's going around about Granit Xhaka? He's made the most errors leading to goals since 2020.
Yeah, I mean, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Granit Xhaka. 1 minute I love him, next minute I hate him. I think he's played quite well over the past few weeks, so it was just a mistake. It was one of them. He's a freak.
Do you think it was solely down to him?
No, I think it wasn't a great pass from Leno. I think Leno could have passed it out wide. It wasn't a great pass. He passed it onto Granit Xhaka's right foot, and he's left-footed, obviously. So I'm not making excuses for Xhaka. It was a poor pass. But I think if he would have passed it to his left foot, he would have turned quicker and swung it out. I mean, it was just
a catalogue.
Yeah.
When I saw the team, right, I was very surprised Nicolas Pepe is not playing. I don't get that. For me, it seems that the guy has a good game, he gets dropped, and he just doesn't seem to be able to get a constant run in the team.
No, I mean, he's impressed me over the past couple of weeks, Nicolas Pepe, I must admit. I mean, £72 million, he should be impressing every week, but that's neither here nor there. But, I thought he played all right on Saturday. It was disappointing, obviously, to drop points. Again, my favourite 3-letter word, VAR. I mean, I said before we come on air, over the past 3, 4, 5 weeks now, we've had dodgy handballs that hadn't been given or had been given. Like 3 this week with Lamina, Kante, and obviously Hudson-Odoi last week against Man United. I mean, I don't understand how the officials can look at Peters. Not the second one. The second one wasn't handball, and the red card was rightly rescinded. That's fine. But the first one, I don't understand. The statement afterwards saying, something about his arm was in a natural position and it was too close. It's handball. How is that not handball?
It's just inconsistency, isn't it? They don't have a clue.
We're not in the NBA. That is an NBA tackle. I mean, he stopped the ball from going past.
I think you mean NFL.
But don't get me wrong, we had the chances and we should have won the game. And but when you've got decisions like that are so obviously handball, it's an absolute joke. I was sitting there and I just don't understand. They've looked at that and so that's not a penalty. I can't explain it. I just think that that's unforgivable. That's handball for me. I don't know you two saw it, but I was livid. I'm not going to lie.
I thought it was handball as well. I mean, did you see the match of the day segment on Lacazette's screaming on the floor?
Yeah. It was it was pathetic, wasn't it? Let's be honest. It was pathetic. Absolutely. And it was just it's frustrating afternoon because I thought we dominated against Burnley. That's not exactly a great thing to say, is it? But we should have won the game because we should be beating teams like Burnley. But when you've just got decisions like that if we get the penalty and we miss it, I've got nothing to moan about because we should score. But when you don't get decisions like that, that's just frustrating because that's like, well, what's the point? If that's not handball, we might as well just all give up, go home, and not even bother watching football anymore. because it's a joke, if you ask me.
You might be looking for a new manager as well, because Arteta's been linked with Barcelona.
Yeah, no, I saw you mentioned that. Yeah, and the thing is, with that though, I mean, Arteta,
I didn't know Barcelona wanted to finish ninth in La Liga.
yeah, very true. But the thing is, though, he's been linked with them, and you know that always happens in it with managers. I'm sure Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be linked if they finish second. He'll be linked with Real Madrid at some point. So it's one of them. He's not going to Barcelona, but
It's just based on historics, isn't it? Like you come from the academy and everything else, so it's just a historic link.
yeah,
It's a crazy link.
Oh yeah, no, it's ridiculous nonetheless. Like, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's won an FA Cup and a Community Shield, but like Barcelona want him to be a world winner.
That will make him Barcelona. But to be fair, Ronald Koeman is manager who, flopped here at Everton quite hugely and was flopped at quite a few clubs like Valencia and Benfica and Ajax. So who knows who will manage Barcelona?
Probably Messi.
Yeah. I don't blame Messi. He's but yeah. Who have you got next, Johnny?
we've got Spurs. So we've got Olympiacos on Thursday in the Europa League, and then next on the 14th we've got Spurs at home, which is a massive game. This is why I'm hoping that Palace do us a favour tonight, and then we beat Spurs and it'd be a point behind them. But it's gonna be difficult. But we really could have done with a winning against Burnley yesterday, because that would have put the pressure on a little bit. But it was a frustrating day after yesterday. But I hate bringing up VAR every weekend, because it seems that every podcast we're talking about VAR and decisions rather than actual football, and I just don't understand how VAR can look at stuff like that and still get the things wrong. That's what most frustrating for me is, you're looking at it and go, well, you're looking at it and you're still getting it wrong. I don't understand.
Aubameyang's goal was quite good, wasn't it? Nick Pope maybe should have done a bit better.
Yeah, he's back amongst the goals now. Aubameyang, probably could have had a couple more, to be honest. It's on Spurs. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Alex, we haven't had you on the podcast since obviously Frank Lampard was sacked. You brought in Thomas Tuchel, and there's been like a revitalization of Chelsea. Obviously, you beat Liverpool through Mason Mount on Thursday night. Just your thoughts on how Thomas Tuchel's doing and how you feel the team's doing.
Yeah, I mean, sorry for the absence. I've been grieving. Tuchel's come in. He's done well, obviously. We haven't been beaten, as far as I'm aware. No. So, yeah, it's good. I mean, going back all the way to the beginning, Lampard sacking was a surprise. I'm not going to lie. I didn't really see it coming. I thought he would get a bit more time. But, it seemed like Tuchel was already in the seat before too long. It seemed like he was already appointed before Lampard was sacked. But we started off well. You could see that he wants to play a passing game. I think it does suit us. I think, we've started to perform a little bit better. There seems to be more confidence. So whether something happened during Lampard's tenure where players lost confidence or, decided that things just weren't for them. But, Tuchel, admittedly, PSG are going to win you everything when you're with them. But he is, from my opinion, he is a winner. He does look at the game and studies it and make sure everything is correct for him. And also, you've already seen that he takes no prisoners. Like, he subbed Callum Hudson-Odoi on and then took him off 20 minutes later because he weren't happy with him. It's interesting. I think, early signs are good, but he's got a problem.
Do you think Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, and Christian Pulisic can play in the same team? Because I just find the Kai Havertz signing like a luxury signing for you when you have possibly someone who's going to be he looks like he's heading to being a top player in Mason Mount. And I just find signing bizarre.
It is. To be honest, I don't think the Havertz signing was a manager signing as much as it was an Abramovich or Marina wanted. This next German superstar, as such, was available to buy, so they just splash the book like they want to do with Haaland in the summer, supposedly. Like, they see this kid as the next big thing. It's probably a business move more than a football move, because Mason Mount for me is going to be our next Lampard. I just, the kid is one of the best players I've seen come through our academy for a very long time. Obviously, John Terry was the last one to actually establish himself, but Mason Mount it's ridiculous the amount of criticism he gets. I understand it's more from an England point of view, but for me, it's just ridiculous.
I think he's an unlucky generation, because people are always going to say, like, how can Mason Mount start ahead of, like, Grealish? But his performance recently have upped, so, and obviously Grealish is injured, so...
That position's ridiculously talented at the minute. I mean, you've got Grealish, you've got Maddison, you've got Mount, you've got so many others that, I can't think of at the minute, but I'm sure there are so many others that deserve to be in that conversation. But, like, there was the whole thing that Mount was Lampard's pet, teacher's pet sort of thing. But Mason got dropped for the first game, came in as a second half sub, changed the game against Wolves, and has never been dropped since. So for me, that proves, how good the kid is. And he's come up with vital contributions that have won us a number of points since Tuchel's been there. But yeah, for me, it's all looking upwards, and I'd be surprised if we didn't get a top four. I know it's quite early and it's all still quite congested, but the other teams just aren't playing too brilliantly at the minute. And admittedly, we've not had defeat, so it'd be interesting to see when we do get beat what happens after. But we've not had that yet.
We'll finish third. I think Leicester will carry on being inconsistent, and Chelsea might get third. Because I just think the other teams are just all over the place still.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Everton Monday, so see how that goes, because obviously they're only, I think, is it 4 points behind us?
Everton's a strange team, though, isn't it? You think they're going to go on a run, and then they lose, like, to West Brom or something, and you're just like, where did that come from? Like, or they lose to Newcastle at home. Like, it just makes no sense.
Well, exactly, but. I'm happy with how things are going. As I say, I was surprised Lampard got sacked, but it's one of those things. It's like, oh well, things have changed, things have got better, so go with it.
I mean, Johnny, like, your thoughts on how Chelsea have evolved over time?
Well, they've got better, and about Mason Mount, I think the reason why he gets so much slated because he wasn't scoring enough goals. And he's added goals to his game, and I like him. Mason Mount. I was one of these critics early on in the season. I'm thinking, I'm not really sure what he brings, but he scores goals and important goals as well, and he's a decent player. And if he carries on the way he's going, then I think Gareth Southgate's got an even bigger headache, because as much as I love Jack Grealish, I think he's an absolute baller. Mason Mount, if he carries on the way he's going, then I think he's ahead of Jack Grealish, in my opinion.
I think
I really do. Mason Mount, I think he's got so much to his game. Mason Mount, he's a great first touch. He can hit a ball.
I think Mount could play in a 4-3-3. He could play this Rice, Mount and Grealish, and Mount be the box-to-box player.
You know what? I mean, to be fair, Gareth Southgate's got a difficult choice, isn't he? There's so much talent. I wouldn't want to. I suppose Jack with Southgate, it's a good headache to have, because he's got so many decent players he can pick. And it's just trying to figure out who he's going to play and who he's not. I wouldn't like to be in. But as for Chelsea, a big game tomorrow against Everton. It's going to be I see goals in it, because but they've improved under Tuchel. They've improved, no doubt. That
phrase just said, I wouldn't want to be Gareth Southgate. You wouldn't want to have a £4 million contract as a football player.
Well, there is that. Yeah, of course. I wouldn't mind. Yeah, you raise a very good.
I always find it funny. Like, people say, I wouldn't want to be Steve Bruce. I'm like, the guy earns £3 million a year.
Point. Okay, I can't argue with that. Yeah,
but he gets celery or cabbages thrown at him. Like, come on.
But even if he flops, he gets paid off anyway. Like, he's not going to resign. I just like. yeah, I wouldn't. When people say I wouldn't want to be a football manager, I'm like, yeah, their job is stressful and it's difficult, but they are rewarded very handsomely for it.
I think Jose Mourinho's he's earned more money being sacked than he actually gets paid. I think Mourinho. I'm pretty sure he
Yeah,
has. Yeah.
it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Sven used to make so much money from his sackings. He used to love a sacking, Sven.
The only
He
job,
just
it's
signed
the
a
only job in
contract and he'd be like, oh, well, 6 months in, I'm not doing well. Okay, I'll get sacked.
it's the only job in the world, isn't it, where you can be really bad at your job and get a nice, healthy payout. Imagine that.
Imagine if they got 4 weeks' notice, like most people with most jobs.
Yeah. Well, I love that in my job. Going, by the way, you're sacked, but we're going to pay you for the rest of the year. Don't worry about it.
Not even the rest of the year. You get paid till the contract runs out.
Yeah.
Like I think Lampard still gets paid by Chelsea, and they only stop paying him when he takes a new job.
Yeah, I think it is only. Well, I say only. I think it is only for 2 years. But yeah, literally he gets paid to sit on his ass, right, unemployed.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's funny. It's funny, isn't it, when you think about it like that? It's like he gets paid to do nothing. He got sacked, and yet he's still going to get paid. Marvelous.
It's a nice sum of money as well.
Yeah,
It's
crazy.
nice.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But I say, I think Abramovich has spent out probably more on bloody sacking fees than he has transfer fees, and yet we bought hundreds of millions of players.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is. I didn't realize like Chelsea still got so many loan players out. Still, like Rahman and Van Ginkel are still hanging around at Chelsea. I read an article today, and I was like, oh my god, they're still at Chelsea.
Oh yeah, no, we'll always have that. I think once you started, it's so difficult to stop doing it because otherwise, where do they all go? Like they can't just stay around.
That's why he's clearly never going to play for Chelsea, but he signs a new contract before he goes on loan. Like, what is the point?
Yeah, I've never understood that one. Like, I get protecting the transfer fee, but you've then got to find someone willing to pay it.
Like Michael Hector, isn't it? He's still on loan from Chelsea. Where is he now? Sheffield Wednesday, isn't he? Michael Hector, I think. Something like that.
No, so we actually sold him to Fulham.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's at Fulham now, is he? Oh, he's been about. I know that much.
Yeah, no, we actually finally got rid of him after I think 8 or 9 years without playing.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy.
Crazy. I mean, I'm going to talk about Newcastle now, unfortunately. Probably one of the dull Premier League games ever. Two crap teams, basically.
Was it? I mean, I watched it on Amazon Prime earlier. It definitely wasn't Prime, was it? So I think it wasn't Prime. Yeah, it wasn't.
And it goes through on. You think, oh, he's out-strengthened defender, showed pace. Just he's going to shoot now. No, he tries to square and just passes it to the West Brom defender. It's just shocking.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Just had no conviction in his final ball.
He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't strike the ball cleanly. I was watching on one of the Newcastle YouTube channels. The guy is he's like a 7-year-old who doesn't know how to balance his body when he goes to shoot, and like that is how. But to be honest, with Steve Bruce, he kind of knows that he's not going to be around there. He's just waiting to be sacked because, he firstly, the game was completely devoid of any imagination. So he only made one substitution. Then he thinks 30 seconds to go of extra injury time. Let's bring on Andy Carroll. Like 30 seconds to go. What is the point? Like. I just found that I probably would have respected him more if he'd said, oh, like, I just didn't think it was the game for him. But to bring him on with 30 seconds, like, that's what teams do when they want to waste time. It was 0-0 against.
I mean, to be fair though, Andrew, I mean, Andy Carroll done more in that 30 seconds giving a free kick away than Joe Linton done in 90 minutes. Yeah. I'll tell you what I didn't. I mean, the first 15-20 minutes of the game was I was quite impressed with Joe Willock, actually. I thought he played quite well the first 20 minutes, and he kind of disappeared out of the game after that. But I thought he played all right, but it wasn't a great game. It was well.
It was atrocious.
I'm trying to be polite. It wasn't great, but yeah.
Championship teams basically playing against each other with two championship managers, really.
Yeah, it wasn't great. And Andy Carroll coming on the last 30 seconds, it was like, what is the point of that?
I actually think he's Steve Bruce, because he's had so much criticism. I think he doesn't I'd literally have started thinking he's not that bothered, because he's some of the he said, oh, it was a good point. Like a good point. West Brom are atrocious. if you're not going to win away to West Brom, then what is the point? And
Yeah.
he's like, oh, 1 more point ahead of Fulham. Obviously, Fulham went and beat Liverpool. He's just, yeah, he's,
I mean, on your point at West Brom, I mean, Chelsea only just managed to do it themselves.
yeah, but like,
Admittedly, that was at the
you need
very
to
beginning
go
of the
for it more.
season.
Yeah, you need to go for it more. You need to at least like West Brom was. I was looking at it. There were so many gaps that could have been exploited, especially in the defense between the right back and the centre back, and like literally had no kind of idea how to do it. And I just think the players have stopped playing for him generally because he doesn't like he's been playing Jeff Hendrick, and like I do not know what Jeff Hendrick has done for the last X number of years to be a Premier League footballer because you don't notice him even in the match. You're just like, oh, is he playing? Like,
Well, I
just
think I heard the stat. Is it that quote me if I'm wrong, but was it that he scored 2 goals on his debut or the first couple
yeah.
of games or whatever it was, but he's not had a shot on target since?
No, he's not had a shot on target. And today he was actually our top goal scorer, which is depressing because
Oh,
obviously
yeah, that's not good, is it?
Maxim Almiron and Callum Wilson
Wilson.
all out. But John Kendrick is our top goal scorer. But he literally does nothing. It's just, and we had this whole week of Matt Ritchie calling Steve Bruce a coward and everything like that. And I mean, I don't blame Matt Ritchie for what he said because Steve Bruce basically just slated up 4 people for the goal against Wolves. And like for me, if you want players to be on your side, yes, say there were some errors, but don't name them and say this, this, this. Like the other thing which has come out is supposedly the players have loads of days off. Like I would love to, why are they having so many days off? Have they watched us play recently? They should be using every day possible to train. I mean, Danny Rose did an interview last year where he was like, he couldn't believe after working for Pochettino, he was and Mourinho, he was absolutely amazed when he went to Newcastle on loan at the number of days off he had. He just said he didn't know what to do with himself because he just was like, they were just like, oh, another day off, another day off.
Oh,
Like,
but are you playing tomorrow? Oh, are we going to train? Nah, I don't want about training. Have a day off. Have a day off. Like,
just you need to rest, And then
They
Steve
do
Bruce,
say some of the worst trainers are the best footballers, though.
yeah, I suppose like Hazard is meant to be an awful trainer.
Yeah, like the original Ronaldo never trained, but used to hitting 2 or 3 goals a game. But
Don't,
then you can see that in his weight now.
yeah, but with with Steve Bruce as well, he's just a dead man walking now. I just
Oh
cannot.
yeah, he's waiting for that paycheck.
He's waiting for the paycheck. He's, I, I just feel with Mike Ashley, like, did he not learn from Steve McLaren? And like people say, oh, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. Like as a businessman, if his goes down to the championship, his asset goes down in value. So surely as a businessman, he must be like, maybe I should sack him, but he's probably too worried about COVID's effect on the high street to be worried about Newcastle, to be fair. I mean, talking about kind of other things that have been going on, Leicester winning, Johnny, can you see them now getting in the top 4, or do you just think they're going to be inconsistent and flop again?
he said it earlier. They're so inconsistent. They can. We beat them with relative ease last week, and and then thinking, oh, that's it. They're probably going to be out the top 4 now, and then they go and beat Brighton. I know Brighton aren't great. We still got to go and beat these teams, and and are they still second or are they third now because of United? I think they're third now, aren't they? Leicester. Yeah, and they have this thing, Leicester. They just win games when you least expect them to. So that's it. They're done now for the top 4. Then they go and win again, and they go, oh, they're back again. They're a weird side. If they get all their players back, then yeah, they definitely could be in the top 4 because they're a good squad. If players get injured, then they might struggle. But as they've only got the league to worry about, not the Europa League now, then yeah, they're still within a chance, I suppose. But the top 4 is going to be interesting because you've got teams like obviously Leicester, Everton, who are still there or thereabouts. Spurs, I suppose. West Ham, exactly. I mean, it's a very interesting. Apart from the winners, I mean, from second down to 7th. Anyone can get anywhere really.
I was watching an interview actually with Michael Antonio, who was saying that he feels that without fans, that he's using less instinct, because basically he can hear the manager telling him what to do with the ball, or hear the coaching staff, and he thinks that's with the playing with no fans, that players are thinking less, because they're just basically getting constant coaching, because before they couldn't hear the obviously everyone can hear.
Yeah, that's a good point actually, and kind of with the Granit Xhaka thing yesterday. I think if there's fans in the stadium, I don't think he does that pass. I think
maybe Arteta told him to play it to Chris Wood.
Yeah, but it was a bad pass, and it led to a goal. But then again, it was just one of them, wasn't it? And it's the same with, I don't know how you two feel about it. It's like with certain decisions as well. I think the refs are doing decisions in VAR. It's because there's no fans in the stadium to put them under pressure. That's what I think, and they're just going, well, that's. And the officials were so incompetent. I've kind of resigned to the fact we've got the worst referees in the world, if I'm honest.
Did you see what Neil Warnock said about?
Yeah, he's Neil Warnock gets a lot of stick, but I thought he's bang on. The referees aren't good enough, and there's a reason why we didn't get any referees for the World Cup into 2018, because they ain't good enough. It's just not good enough. Best league in the world, and the officials aren't good enough, and the people using VAR aren't good enough. It's not VAR's the problem; it's people using it. That's the issue.
I don't know if it's the best league in the world if Newcastle and West Brom are running. So going on to the Let's All Laugh At for this week. Alex, any stories that made you laugh?
Yeah, I'm going to go a little left field with this one, but Rangers were crowned champions today.
Yeah.
So for me, it's the Celtic fans all over social media, or not necessarily all the fans, but players or ex-players associated with the club. It's never nice to see your rival win a league. I understand that, and obviously, I'm never a fan if another London team wins it, or Liverpool, for example. Nobody enjoys it apart from their own fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Celtic fans seem to take it to a whole complete new level. So I think, as many people know, Rangers were reformed in, I think, 10 years ago or so.
Yeah.
And obviously had to start all the way at the bottom. But someone like Sky Sports might say that Rangers have won their 55th title and all this sort of stuff. But Celtic fans will turn around and go, oh no, it's their first title. They can't even compare to us because they're a new club. And some of them, because they were close to 10 in a row, this season was just shambolic for them. But so, Chris Sutton, I saw on Twitter, was like, congratulations to Rangers, well done on 1 in a row. Come on.
Bitter.
Yeah, it's so bitter. It's so sort of bad.
I think the argument is that basically Rangers did go into liquidation and a new company took over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
it's huge. So, that's what they think.
Yeah, but you've got teams in England that have done it, and I don't think it's always like AFC Wimbledon. I remember when they were Wimbledon. Yeah. I mean, obviously they were formed because of the move that MK Dons did, but it's just one of those things. You don't really think about it often, but Celtic fans will continue to.
The Wimbledon MK Dons thing is really interesting. I think Wimbledon won the FA Cup in 1991, if I remember correctly, and basically, obviously, Wimbledon became MK Dons, and then the Phoenix Club. And basically, AFC Wimbledon wanted the FA Cup honour to be removed from MK Dons because they said they're not Wimbledon, we're Wimbledon. So it became a huge thing, and I kind of see their point.
Yeah, I think Alex is right. I think because just be gracious in defeat, because whether Rangers is their first title since they were reformed, it's an incredible. I mean, Stephen Gerrard's done an incredible job, and to go the whole season unbeaten and to win the league as far as they have, you're not happy about it. Of course, it'd be no different if Spurs won the league. I wouldn't. You know what I mean? Just be a little bit gracious. I mean, it's kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, you could say it with. I mean, I don't know the history of Arsenal brilliantly, but Woolwich Arsenal and Arsenal are two different sides, but you'd still associate them as the same. same as Man United and Stratford, whatever they were called before.
Yeah.
Like, everyone goes through a name brand or a relocation. Like some clubs don't, but there's quite a few that have. It's just like, get over it. It happened. Okay, something might be unbearable for a year, but you get past it.
Yeah, and Rangers have been superb this year. I mean, they've been superb, and Gerrard and the players, they deserve a whole lot of credit because what a great job he's done. He's been superb.
I think for me, the thing with Gerrard, which I've been impressed with, Celtic have been shocking this year, but their Europa League run is really good for a Scottish team. Usually they get battered by, very small clubs all the time, like Celtic, you think of Celtic under Brendan Rodgers and so forth. He's made them really competitive in the Europa League, as well as doing, being unbeaten for the whole season. Yeah. And I think that it would be good for him if he could get them to a quarters or a semi-final, because then he would get more kind of clout. I mean, incredible achievement to win the league. And I think, he's clearly his end game is the Liverpool job, when Klopp does leave, whenever that is. But, he's picked a good club to kind of cut his teeth there.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think choosing your first, the Liverpool job, who knows where it will come up. You never know. It could come up this summer. It might come up next year. But, at Rangers, you're guaranteed to have a good chance of winning stuff. And then he's going to get his shot at the Liverpool job. Because I think he would be really stupid now to go to, say, a mid-table Premier League club, to kind of show that he can do it in the Premier League. Because, at Rangers, if he dominates, then people will be like, oh, he should get the Liverpool job.
Well, absolutely. And it worked for Brendan Rodgers, didn't it? He stayed in Scotland for a while with Celtic, won a few titles, and moved to Leicester. He's done a good job there now. And I think Gerrard, spot on. State Rangers, win a couple of trophies, win the Europa League. Hopefully not win the Europa League. I want Arsenal to win that. He can't win that. He can't win that.
Do you know you're in the Europa League still? Yeah.
Yeah, he can go as far as he wants. As long as he doesn't win it, I don't mind. Yeah. But,
Arsenal Rangers final.
That'd be a good game. That because they're a good side, Rangers. I watch them a lot, and I can imagine how rocking Ibrox would be now with the way they're playing. That would be a difficult place to go to, Ibrox, I think.
Do you have any other let's all laugh at for today, Alex?
No. There's one sort of thing. I don't know too much about it. It's only when I was looking up results earlier today, but Dortmund in the Klassiker yesterday went 2-0 up within 10 minutes via Haaland, who, continues to take all headlines and plaudits, and rightly so. But they then lost 4-2 with a Lewandowski hat-trick, and I think Kimmich got the other. But, Goretzka, it may have been actually. But yeah, it's just, you go 2-0 up within 10 minutes. How do you collapse 4-2?
It's not the first time. Dortmund are having a weird year this year. I think they're 6th at the moment, and they're not looking like they're going to get in the Champions League. And I think, on social media, everyone's like, look, Haaland's taken over Lewandowski. He scored 2, and then Lewandowski scores a hat-trick just to show up. But, Haaland is incredible. Whoever gets him next season, I think he will leave if Dortmund don't qualify for the Champions League. Brings me on to actually my kind of little laugh at. One of them was Simon Jordan's comments about Tammy Abraham. I don't know if you saw this. He basically said that, because obviously Tammy Abraham is stalling on his contract because he's not happy that he's not starting every week, and he's worried that Chelsea might sign Haaland. And Simon Jordan said, he definitely could be a replacement for Lewandowski, or could go to Juventus. And I was like, are you talking about Tammy Abraham? I just thought that was a crazy Lewandowski or Benzema, actually. It was Benzema. And I was just like, he's not at that level. I think for him, he probably needs to go, West Ham would be good for him. He could start every week, lead the line, build himself up and everything, but he's definitely not at that level. He was very good last year at the start of the season, but his form has tailed off. But yeah, I think Simon Jordan. Yeah. Johnny, your let's all laugh at.
Well, Alex mentioned about how can you go 2-0 up and lose 4-2. Just gave me nightmares of Arsenal being 3-0 up in 15 minutes at St James's Park and drawing 4-4. That gave me nightmares for a second. One of mine, it's got to be, it's on TalkSport as well. I don't know if you heard it on TalkSport. Is a Liverpool fan. I don't know if it's a wind up or not, but he said the reason why Liverpool are so bad at home at the moment is because the players are being put off by the red seats, and it's putting them off. Red's not a good colour, and stuff like that. And I'm not sure if it's a wind up or not, but I thought it was hysterical.
I think they pay some of these people to come on and say Dom stop.
I mean, imagine
some of the things that have happened on TalkSport. I've started to think that these people aren't true.
Yeah, I mean, another one for me. As we're on air, Benteke just rose like a salmon and made it 1-1. So that's quite happy about that as well. So that's nuts, really. Yeah, but yeah, I'll go for the Liverpool fan because it might be a wind up, but I was listening to it and I was like, wow, I just can't believe what I'm hearing, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, mine actually is I think Atletico might be throwing. I mean, Alex, I don't know if you've been following La Liga. They look like they're going to throw away their lead, which is kind of crazy. They had such a big gap at the start of the season. I think they were like 9 points clear with like 2 games in hand at one stage, and the gap is now 3 points.
Yeah, I'm not the greatest follower of it, but I see, I keep tabs on the league, and yeah, it is just really strange because, like you said, they were miles ahead. Barcelona were having such a poor time, so were Real Madrid, but now they're both sort of within touching distance. It is just weird, and obviously, as a Chelsea fan, we've got Atletico in the Champions League, and we won by a wonder goal. But as long as they keep stalling and performing poorly, then so be it for me.
La Liga has really dropped off in terms of the top teams. I think Barcelona's. I think when I watched that PSG game, and I just remember thinking, God, Barcelona are nowhere where they used to be. They're so far off. How they were in like 2015. When they did win the Champions League last, and Real Madrid now are a shadow of the team. And I think we've talked about it before on the podcast, but like Bayern, Man City, PSG are well ahead of all the other teams at the moment. Though Chelsea could throw in a surprise if under Tuchel, you never know. After 2012 winning the Champions League with that one.
Just takes a few penalty shootouts.
Yeah. I always find that crazy because Newcastle actually finished ahead of Chelsea that year because it was the Pardew incredible season where we finished 5th. And it's crazy to think that we finished ahead of like the Champions League winners.
Yeah, no, I remember it well because I think if we obviously had lost, we wouldn't even be in the Champions League, so we had to win it. But no, going back to La Liga, like Valencia are another side that just can't get anything going. So it's a really strange league.
It's funny, like I think Gary Neville posted something like how bad are Liverpool at the moment, and Jamie Carragher wrote back, worse than your Valencia team.
Yeah.
Quite funny. Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be possibly another Barcelona title, which would be crazy considering how much pressure Koeman was under. But yeah, well, anyway, thank you very much for joining the Let's All Laugh At podcast. Please follow our link, and thank you very much.